This is going to be a quick explanation of what people are talking about when they say someone is rapping to the beat or not rapping to the beat. So for an example, I'm going to be using the Notorious B.I.G.'s Warning. The track of him actually rapping and the accompaniment is this top track. The bottom track shows individual beats where these higher beats, they're louder beats, represent or they correspond to the end of a measure or the end of a bar. Bar and measure mean the same thing. So this is the first beat, the second beat, the third beat, the fourth beat, and then the start of a new bar or the start of a new measure. And now this middle track, same idea, except it's broken into 16th notes. So now remember that a beat is 1/4 of a measure, 1/4 of a bar, and so it's called a quarter note. This duration is called a quarter note. And now if you were to divide that quarter note into 4 divisions itself, then you have 16 of these divisions making up one full bar or one full measure. And that is why these smaller divisions are called 16th notes, because 16 of them make up a bar or a measure. And so that's the only difference between the middle track and the bottom track, is that the middle track is showing 16th notes and the bottom track is showing individual beats. And when people are rapping normally, meaning the non-triplet style of rap, their syllables, the division between syllables tends to fall on these divisions between 16th notes. So you'll tend to have a syllable pronounced, the vowel sound of a syllable will be pronounced in this gap here. And if someone says a syllable for longer than a 16th note, they tend to hold it for 2 16th notes or 3 16th notes or 4 16th notes, and they don't have to start on the beat. They could a syllable can start anywhere, and so it could start here and be held for 2 16th notes or whatever, 4 16th notes. But the main thing is that syllables tend to begin and end on these divisions between 16th notes. So now let's hear, as an example, this song. So I'm going to play it first at normal speed just so you can get a sense of what the lyrics are, and then I'm going to focus in on some individual parts of this that's going to make it very clear that he's rapping to these 16th notes. So first at normal speed. Who the fuck is this? Paging me at 5:46 in the morning. Crack of dawn. Okay, so now let's listen to one beat, one quarter note, remember, that has 4 16th notes, and let's hear how his syllables line up with those 16th notes. So first I'll play at normal speed. And now you can, even just listening at this speed, notice those 16th note click sounds and how they line up with his syllables. I'll do it one more time. And I'll even mute this. So you hear that? And now let's play it at 1/4 of the normal speed, so it'll become even clearer. Okay, and just to show that that's not a fluke, let's look at this other quarter note here, which I think has the same thing going on. And all of these have the same division going on. The only difference is that these 2 beats show 1 syllable per 16th note, where the other ones have syllables being held for more than 1 16th note. So let's look at this one, and then I'll show another example. Okay, so this doesn't have 4 syllables. It has 2 syllables and then 1 syllable being held for 2 16th notes. So let's slow this down so you can hear it. So it's not perfect, right? Like the D sound in dawn doesn't start until maybe halfway through that third 16th note. But you know, the first two, they ended by that middle 16th note. So you can see how this works. Let's look at another example. Okay, so this is an example where it has one syllable per 16th note. So it's pay, jin, me, at. All right, let's look at another example. So in this case, he's holding the 5 sound for two 16th notes, and then he's saying 40 in those later two 16th notes. Let's slow it down. So hopefully this gives you the idea. So when you're rapping not to the beat, what's happening from what I've seen is that the divisions between your syllables are not lining up with these divisions between 16th notes, and people can hear that. One of the reasons rap sounds good is because people can subconsciously notice the pattern of your syllables lining up with the pattern of these 16th notes. People can't articulate it, but they subconsciously notice it, and they also notice when you're not doing it and it doesn't sound good. So hopefully this was helpful, and I encourage you to analyze songs like how you see here in order to get a better idea of how they work, and slow them down. When you slow them down, it's easier to see how they're working. So I hope that was helpful.